Sup, y'all? Welcome back to Saved by the Code, where I discuss technologies rooted in computer code that can save us from the corrupt fiat money regime. My name is Perry, and let's go. So, the story that is at the center of every news outlet right now is the spike in Bitcoin transaction fees due to the explosion in interest in these Bitcoin NFTs that have been being minted in recent times. And this was as a result of an update that was integrated about, I'd say, a year ago called Taproot. And it enabled for people to create these NFTs on Bitcoin, which wasn't previously doable. And we're seeing a massive spike in fees, the average fee being $30 as of yesterday, which went up from around $1.50 about a week or two ago to $30 as of yesterday. And like I said, it is because of these NFTs that are called ordinals on Bitcoin. And there is a rift right now in the Bitcoin community as to whether or not Bitcoin should be utilized for this purpose. Because as we can see, it does result in extremely high fees and network congestion simply because of these NFTs, this NFT activity on Bitcoin. And like I said, it's being speculated as to whether or not this is a good or bad thing, and if it should remain. And we will see what happens in the coming weeks as to whether or not this update will remain or will be revoked. And there's both good and bad here. The bad is that the network is highly congested and you must pay a high fee to get your Bitcoin transaction put through. The average fee being around $30, $40 right now, which for a large transaction isn't bad still. If you send $100,000 in Bitcoin, spend $30, $40 to send it, that is much less, still far less than you're going to pay using traditional financial rails like a wire transfer, Visa or MasterCard, which is 3 or 4%. For smaller transactions, this is not ideal whatsoever. However, there are second layer scaling solutions like Lightning Network that were designed for this purpose to offload the main Bitcoin layer 1 so that these transaction fees don't go so high like they are right now. The miners in Bitcoin are loving this because they earn a portion of the transaction fees. So right now their revenue has spiked quite a bit. The fees, the percentage of their revenue from fees has spiked from 3 to 4% up to 42% as of yesterday, this past week pretty much. And so miners are loving it. People trying to send small transactions through are not loving it. And it's just, like I said, creating this rift in the Bitcoin community as to whether or not Bitcoin is meant for these types of things. And I mean, this is a indicator that there is demand for this kind of stuff on Bitcoin to build things like NFTs and the things that you see on Ethereum. Instead of it just being digital gold, it's a decentralized network where you can build whatever you want on. However, this, like I said, creates a high transaction fees and congestion to the network. Another good thing that's coming from this is the fact that in 120 years, the Bitcoin block reward will be 0. So the block reward is the incentive for miners to set up this infrastructure, to invest in all this computing hardware, this electricity, the power, the space to do the mining operation in, all this investment. The incentive is this block reward that they get. And this gets cut in half every 4 years. Right now we're at 6.25 Bitcoin for every block mined. And next year at around April or May 2024, it will be 3.125, and so on for the next 120 years until it ultimately trends to zero. And so what happens after that? What is the incentive for miners to continue securing the network? And it is speculated that transaction fees will be high enough, there will be enough transaction throughput on the Bitcoin blockchain that it will replace this block reward in 120 years whenever it goes to zero. And as we can see, this is a reality right now. These transaction fees can be used to replace the block reward in 120 years. I mean, if the Bitcoin community decides that this could be what could replace the block reward whenever it goes to zero. And we're seeing it happen in real time right now. Like I said, the miner revenue has gone up a lot as of yesterday, this past week pretty much. And like I said, there's both good and bad here. So we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if the update is removed entirely and Bitcoin is just digital gold. It's only used for that. No NFTs or anything on it. And I mean, I could see that being the direction that it goes in, because that is what Bitcoin ultimately is. It's just digital gold, and it does that very well. And all this in NFT stuff going on right now is just not Bitcoin. But I mean, there obviously is a huge demand for it. So, the market decides what something should be used for and what the value of something is. And as we're seeing right now, I mean, maybe this is just a random hype cycle with Bitcoin NFTs, and maybe it will subside in a week or two. However, as of right now, Bitcoin transaction fees are through the roof, relatively speaking. Like I said, I mean, just for smaller transaction sizes, really. And a lot of people do use Bitcoin for smaller transactions. But there's layer 2s for that. The Lightning Network is way cheaper than even whenever Bitcoin fees are $1. There's cents on the Lightning Network, and it's quicker, it's cheaper. However, you sacrifice decentralization for this increased speed and cheaper transaction fees. There's always a trade-off. High decentralization, high security is not as scalable, however much more secure. And if you remove that decentralization, you get higher speed, lower fees. So there's just trade-offs with any of these things. Like I said, we will see what happens here. These stories here have to do with this. Africa moves to Lightning stablecoins as Bitcoin transaction fees soar. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of in places that rely on Bitcoin because they don't even have a remnant of a financial system, and inflation is just absurd in these places. They have to resort to using the Lightning Network in these places to account for these high transaction fees on the base layer of Bitcoin. It says here, Bitcoin ordinals, which are the NFTs on Bitcoin, miner fees breaks new records. So yeah, for the first time since like 2017, the transaction fees are outpacing the actual block reward in every mined block. Miners are earning a lot of money right now because of this spike in transaction fees, which, like I said, this is both good and bad. It is a solution to whenever the block reward goes to zero in 120 years. And it also, the miners are very happy, and that the miners are happy, Bitcoin's happy, but people sending small transactions aren't happy, so we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I'm going to follow this quite closely. Yeah, here it's the total fees in this block were 6.7 Bitcoin when the block reward itself is 6.25 Bitcoin. So from fees alone, 6.7 Bitcoin in that one block here in this story. High Bitcoin fees from ordinals lead to controversy and challenges. yeah. So, I mean, this was inevitable, honestly. With more adoption occurring, it was inevitable that this happened back in 2017 as well, when there was a huge spike in Bitcoin transaction volume. The fees soared to these levels. And like I said, I mean, even at these levels, sending large transactions really is not that big of a deal. But for, if you're sending $100,000 and you spend 30, $40, that's pretty damn sweet still. Whereas before it was only like $1 or $2, but even when there's a spike in fees, it's still not bad for larger transactions. However, smaller transactions, not so much. But this is what second layer scaling solutions are for. This is what Lightning Network is designed for, is to offload the base layer Bitcoin chain so that the fees don't spike like this. And that's what second layer scaling solutions are for. And so maybe this will be a kick in the butt that was needed to further develop the Lightning Network and expand its reach. It already is being used and implemented, and it works. It just, now this is really highlighting its importance. And so, I mean, this is how it goes with any technology. Doesn't matter what it is. There are going to be bumps, and this is nothing. Like, it's just a spike in transaction fees because of NFT hype on Bitcoin. It really is not that big of a deal. Bitcoin's still fine. It's working as intended. Nothing's wrong. It's just, this is what's going to happen because there's a competition to get your transaction put through. The higher you're willing to pay, the quicker your transaction will be processed. And so it's just how the network works. And it makes sense, honestly. I mean, how else are you supposed to get around that? If you're willing to pay a higher fee, you should get your transaction put through quicker. And so I think this will just be a blip. I don't know, though. Like I said, this NFT hype on Bitcoin right now, we'll see if it lasts. I don't think it will, but like I said, there's a huge demand for developing these kinds of things on Bitcoin, so we'll see what happens here. It would keep the miners very happy. They'd be making so much money, and if we could just move these kinds of things to layer 2 scaling solutions like Lightning Network, which would offload a lot of these transactions from the base chain, decreasing transaction fees, then I think this is needed. This is very important that this happened. It is just a kick in the butt. They're like, all right, this needs to be dealt with now, and it's highlighting the importance of Lightning Network. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna keep track of this. Everything's fine. Just transaction fees are spiking. That's really all. Bitcoin's fine. It's like I said, how it goes for any technology. There's going to be things that need figured out, problems that arise, and this is how things are dealt with. And we'll see what happens in the coming weeks here. All right, next story here. PayPal's crypto holdings have increased by 56% in Q1 in 2023 to nearly $1 billion. So PayPal has been stacking the crypto. It says here, financial technology company PayPal recently disclosed its cryptocurrency holdings in a quarterly report filed to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, claiming a combined total of $943 million in cryptocurrency assets as of March 31st, 2023. This is a 56% increase over the company's previous quarter. PayPal is stacking up the crypto. Love to see it. And it's just, this is going to continue happening. I mean, just in light of all this craziness going on in the financial world, cryptocurrencies are a hedge against the insanity that we're seeing with all these bank collapses and, companies like PayPal and Tesla and who knows, other companies that don't even announce it. And like we saw in my previous video or 2 videos ago about Bhutan, the country of Bhutan quietly mining Bitcoin wasn't announced. There's a lot of companies that are accumulating Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies without announcing it. And I mean, this is just huge. Like news like this a couple years ago would have caused the price to go berserk, but it's just, I think the reason why the price isn't reacting to news like this is that it's just, we are living in very unprecedented times when it comes to the U.S. dollar. It's just like it's a currency war that's happening right now, and people are scared, and they don't know where to go, what to do, and I don't think they're aware that Bitcoin can provide them with a life raft in these insane times. And the perception of it as well, the public perception isn't super positive. For whatever reason, people want to continue keeping their money in the US dollar whenever it continues to make their lives miserable, banks fail, all the rest of it. It's just amazing to me how you can continuously be kicked in the face and be friends with that person that's kicking you in the face. And this is what Bitcoin was designed for. And hey, PayPal's stacking it. And as time goes on and as more banks fail, I think that more people will wake up to the fact that it's a risk not to have any Bitcoin in your portfolio. And obviously PayPal recognizes that. And like it's everybody's situation is different. You don't have to put a ton of money in. You can just put 1% of your wealth, 0.5%, 5%, whatever, 10%, 20%, whatever you're comfortable with. Bitcoin is not going anywhere. Next story here, Bitcoin takes flight in Liechtenstein. Minister proposes government services paid in crypto. Yeah, so apparently a payment option with Bitcoin is coming in Liechtenstein to be able to pay for government services. And I mean, stuff like this is huge. Like countries literally allowing their citizens to use cryptocurrencies to pay government services. They're only talking about Bitcoin here. And I just think this will continue happening as time goes on because it is a force to be reckoned with. Bitcoin, like I said, isn't going anywhere. The mining industry is expanding rapidly. The adoption is expanding every day. More and more people are waking up to the fact that Bitcoin truly is something that belongs in their portfolio, especially in these insane financial times we live in. And so we will see, like you can literally pay with Bitcoin at McDonald's in Liechtenstein. They accept Bitcoin for some taxes and public services. Like this is just nuts that Bitcoin is being accepted for these kinds of things in countries, even though Liechtenstein's pretty small. This is where it starts in places like Bhutan, El Salvador, Liechtenstein. You know, this was not even a thing a couple years ago. And El Salvador making it legal tender, Bhutan mining Bitcoin, Liechtenstein accepting it for government services. You know, the signs are all there. The adoption is happening and continues to happen. Here, Argentina's citizens embrace crypto despite central bank ban. Of course, the central bank is banning payment providers from offering crypto transactions whenever Argentina is witnessing 100% plus inflation. It's kind of disgusting that they aren't allowing anyone to they're not allowing banks to process these crypto transactions, and still people are acquiring Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and the interest there is massive. It is the second. Argentina is second to Turkey in digital asset ownership, 23% of the population in some form of cryptocurrencies. Turkey is the highest with 27%. And yeah, like I said, the inflation in Argentina has exceeded 100% this year. And I'm sure this is what is fueling the interest in cryptocurrency in Argentina. This will continue happening all around the world, and Turkey sees insane levels of inflation. Argentina. It's just fiat currencies don't work at all. Africa has a large interest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And this will continue happening around the world, and it's happening here in the United States. We live in the nice, cushy U.S. where people don't think that will happen. Hear this story: Bitcoin provides insurance against fiat currency failure, says Greg Foss. He is some financial guy. He works for Validus Power Corp. Executive Director Greg Foss discussed the potential for the banking industry's failures to wipe out $10 trillion in equity. Foss expressed his support for hard assets such as real estate, gold, and Bitcoin. He believes that Bitcoin, the leading crypto asset, is one of the best hard assets available. It provides insurance against the failure of a basket of fiat currencies. Yes, it does. Yes, indeed it does. And it has established itself, I believe, as a player in the financial world because nothing else works. Gold has its limitations. It has certain benefits for sure. However, Bitcoin has more benefits over it. And hopefully more and more people will see those benefits over time. Some of those benefits being Bitcoin being instantly auditable. You know that you're getting real Bitcoin. With gold, you don't know if it's truly real or not. The ability for you to transfer it easily across borders anytime, 24/7. Transporting gold is not that easy, obviously. And so the portability of it, the auditability of it, the actual hard cap of 21 million Bitcoin when we don't even know how much gold is out there. A number of different other benefits that Bitcoin does better than gold. This guy believes that Bitcoin is the best hard asset. He also recognizes the value of gold as an investment. So yeah, this guy's pretty well respected. I've heard him in a number of podcasts, and I believe he knows what he's talking about when it comes to these kinds of things. And people say that Bitcoin's volatile, it's this, it's that. Look at bank stocks, look at stocks in general. It's just wild. Gold went through a lot of volatility back in the 70s. I just don't understand why Bitcoin is this super volatile, energy hungry monster that has no use case. Just not true whatsoever. Alright, this is going to be a shorter video today. Gonna end it, like I said, on a positive note with some stories from the good old Babylon Bee. Let's see here. Let's pick a story out of here. There's so many good ones. I can't even pick, Biden reassures Americans that someone in his administration is probably doing something about the border. Deranged lunatics light cake on fire and give it to a child. That is kind of crazy that we do that. This man was about to turn his car off, but Stairway to Heaven came on, and now he's got to sit in the driveway for 7 minutes and 55 seconds. That poor guy. I can't imagine the torture. What a great song, though. It is very long, but it is worth sitting in your car for that long. With late night shows off air, liberals forced to start paying for actual therapy. Poor liberals. Alright, that does it for this video. Thank you for listening. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you're all doing alright out there. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah, like I said, everything's fine. This has happened in the past. Bitcoin fees are spiking. There's a lot of interest. The demand is very high for decentralized money, programmable money like Bitcoin. And we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. What is decided on, what direction Bitcoin will go. Alright folks, thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, and until next time, I bid you farewell on the cryptocurrency journey.